Welcome back to the Capture Your Confidence podcast. We have such a special experience today because we have a darling friend of mine, Danielle McKinley, here. And we're doing not only one episode for Capture Your Confidence, but we're also recording a tandem conversation that you're going to be able to listen to only on Danielle's podcast too. So you're going to want to stay tuned and listen to episode 2. But Danielle, thank you for coming today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. I'm stoked.
Will you tell the people a little bit about like who you are and what you do?
What a loaded question. Do you ever think about that? You're like, who am I? So let's actually talk about that.
Why am I here?
I like to ask myself, who am I and who do I want to be? It's like my little way of being like, am I on track? Am I doing the things that match, or am I totally out of alignment? So there's a little like entry point into my brain, right? Very reflective. And I am a mother of 2. I absolutely love, I'm an entrepreneurial junkie. I love building things. I'm a problem solving wizard, and my party trick is rapping.
Oh my God.
Fancy.
Don't make me pull it out today. So I had the pleasure of meeting Danielle at a retreat, and I think it's really powerful when you get in a room with other women who are showing up ready to be connecting with other people and just get to the heart of the things that they really care deeply about. And so the moment that I met Danielle, it was like 2 stars like cross. You know how it is. Like when Whitney finds her people, she finds her people. Yeah. And the more we spoke, the more I realized how many really cool synergies there were in both our like professional experience, but also in our childhood and in motherhood. And one of the things that I just respect Danielle for so much is how brave and like unwilling or willingly she'll go into a next phase of her life without knowing how it's going to work out. And she just trusts herself deeply to figure it out. And she has all of these roadmaps to figure out like, okay, where am I headed next? And like, what feels true to me in the moment? So I've just watched you over the last like year do really cool things, and it's been super fun.
Well, so what I love about this, and especially because we're talking about confidence, right? Because we've known each other for a little over a year, right? And so you've met a version of me that has done all of this work to where like, that's what you see. But that girl did not always exist. Like I didn't always have fierce belief. I wasn't always like, I know the answer. There was times when my worth was wrapped up in so many different things, people pleaser, wanting validation from outsiders. So thank you for sharing that, because a lot of work to get there.
Yeah. And what an important thing to highlight, because I think so many of our listeners are on different points of the journey. And we talk a lot on this podcast about sometimes it's a highlight reel and we don't show you what's going on behind the scenes. And so the fact that you're even willing to share that so candidly up front is really powerful for people to hear.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's the hard shit that,
yeah.
Can I say that on here?
Of course you can. Of course you can. So I really love that you give this precursor of like, I wasn't always this confident, and we rely deeply on this truth that confidence is not a trait, it is a skill. So can you talk to me about the early layers that you had to forge through in order to build that skill of confidence?
Yeah. So in the last like couple of years, I've done a lot of therapy, a lot of inner work, a lot of reflection, and a lot of like inner child work, right? So going back, so I grew up dancing, and when you're a dancer, you have to perform, you have to get out on stage. And that's sometimes what fake confidence looks like, right? It's performative and you're putting on a mask and people are viewing you one way, but inside you're kind of dying, right? And so I really peeled the layers back to go, am I still doing that, right? Going back to how we started, who am I? Who do I want to be? Do those two people match? So it was a lot of that and having those moments of reflection to really be honest with myself. Like, do I really feel confident or am I just pretending to be? And that's a great starting point for anybody that's even wanting to begin the journey. And also just knowing that nobody just wakes up and they're like so confident. That's just not how it works.
And there are probably, I think it's reflective for me. So like in the moment, I thought that I was confident, but then when I got further down the road, I would look back and realize like, 100%. Oh shoot, you were just like doing the best you could with what you had. And like, girl, you were not.
Well, and I don't know if you experienced this too, but people would always say to me, oh my gosh, you're so confident. And I would be like, really? I do not feel that way, but glad you're seeing it that way. And it's like finding that balance of where do I really feel authentically confident? And it's work to get there. It doesn't happen overnight.
And, you know, it's interesting because people see the facade and you feel differently on the inside. But the thing that's so consistent is that you still continue to show up. And I think, you know, we talk about, sometimes we've seen videos of ourselves speaking 5, 7, 8, 10 years ago, and they're terrible, right?
Oh, the stories I could share.
Right. But then, well, now it's not so bad. But how did we get to now was by consistently putting in the reps and the work over the last 6, 8, 10 years.
Well, anybody that you're looking up to, that you admire, that you put on a pedestal, they aren't any different than you. They're just getting back up. And they keep going and they keep trying. And when they have a hard day, they have the resources for what is it going to take for me to show up tomorrow? That's the only difference. So if you're willing to continuously put in the reps and do it, you can truly be whatever you want to be.
And I think in the moment when it's happening, there is that narrative that you tell yourself that there's no way you're ever going to get where you're going. But with time, you'll be able to look back and see so much progress. And it's wild to be able to look back and say, holy crap, all of these reps resulted in this thing that I wanted to be possible, but I never really thought was.
Totally. I mean, you don't just become confident and stay there. It's work to remain there. So even on times when I'm like, am I doing the right? We all have that inner voice, right? Where we're like, why do you think you can do this? Am I doing the right thing? Why am I even doing this? Is this possible? It's a really great thing to have that journal of wins to reflect back on and go, oh my God, you remember that really hard thing and you overcame it? You can overcome this too.
So speaking of really hard things, one thing that Danielle does is she coaches women on addressing their confidence with money. And I think this is like a really difficult thing for women to face. So I want to talk about how you kind of got into that niche and what like led you to this discovery that there needed to be so much work for women around untangling their confidence with money.
Yeah, such a great question. I did not ever, when asked in school, like, who do you want to be when you grow up? I wasn't like a money mentor. That's me. So truly through the inner work. So, you know, I mentioned like the cocoon season and where I was really doing a ton of deep therapy. And I discovered how my own money story was attached to the output, the decisions I was making, how I was showing up, especially in my career. And my mind was blown. And I'm like, okay, I can't be the only one. So I started having conversations and the breakthroughs, the aha moments when people realize how their money story is showing up for them today. It's literally imprinted upon you. So I say you have your money story and then you have your money mindset. Your money mindset is what you choose to do with it, but your story was inherited. And it's from 0 to 7, your subconscious is wide open. It's downloading facts, like it's downloading anything like facts. And you don't realize that you can't control what the experience is and what the modeling is around money. And I honestly just became obsessed with helping people understand that and break through the limiting beliefs.
And I think when you walk that journey yourself, you recognize how transformative it can be. And so that probably gave you the encouragement to start walking other people through that too.
Well, the biggest aha moment was realizing how much of my self-worth I associated to my success in business and the amount of money coming into my bank account.
Ooh. Okay, so this is real time because it's the first time I've met you. So these are genuine questions. Okay, so did you have a corporate job before you transitioned into entrepreneur?
Great question. No, I am like your quintessential entrepreneur. I was in college and I was in business administration was my major. And I'm learning about business from a professor who's never owned a business. And I was like, this is dumb. So I literally dropped out and was like, I'm going to go find a mentor, figure out how to do business. And if that doesn't work out, I can always come back.
From someone who actually knows what the hell they're talking about.
Correct. And so I've always been in small business. I've always been in like startup world. And then working in startups turned into having my own startup.
Okay, I love this. And so how many years have you been in this space?
Ooh, since 2008.
Yeah.
So
I love that. 18 years.
18 years.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah. That's as long as I've been a lawyer and I still think I'm learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the
know?
second you think you're done learning, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, why would you ever stop learning?
And she's being modest. I mean, girlfriend has built like very successful businesses and exited them. Like it's wild to think about all the things that you've accomplished. So not only did you figure out a way to start helping women like build their confidence around their money story. But I think that concept of wrapping your self-worth up in success deserves honorable mention here, because it's something that we talk a ton about. It's a journey, of course, that I have been on as an entrepreneur, because it's really hard to have a business that's you, that you don't then equate your self-worth with like how the business is performing. So talk to me about like untangling that web of self-worth and confidence with success.
Sure. So when I had my biggest exit, it felt like when you hear about an exit, you like build it up in your head and you're like, gosh, that would feel so cool. And I remember I was driving, my phone went off, the money hit the bank, and it didn't feel like anything. If I'm being totally honest, it felt empty. And that was a big wake up call for me. That's when I was like, okay, we are not on the right track. Who I am, who I want to be is not matched up right now. Why? And that led me down the rabbit hole of like, where is the root cause of this? And then that brought me to the money story. And in that, I discovered that I was equating so much of my value to how much I was earning and the amount of success that I was having. So it was like whiplash. It's truly, I don't know if I can say this, but it was a mind fuck. Like it was bad. And I had a cocoon season where I had to really sit and go like, I have these skills and I can do these things, but am I doing them just because I'm good at it and it makes me a lot of money? Or am I doing it because I'm truly passionate and lit up by it? And what I discovered was I was doing it because I was good at it and it made me a lot of money. So I had to completely pivot out of an industry that I had spent over a decade in and go, what do I want to do next?
Yeah. And I mean, talk about flexing your confidence muscle in that decision, because we talk about it's trusting yourself. And so many people would find a way to quiet that voice and not trust themselves because we're in a society that says that if you have more money, you're doing great.
You're good.
Right? And you had that and you were willing to give that up to in pursuit of confidence, right? And in pursuit of living in alignment with your values.
Well, I think confidence is also a byproduct of when you're living in your truth and you're actually aligned and you feel good about the work you're doing, and not just like feel good, like you actually are excited to do it. The byproduct of that is confidence.
And I think when you see how fulfilling something can be simply from the pursuit and the joy of doing it, it shows you what's possible. It's like,
100%.
I think a lot of women who struggle with this success identity, they'll have a moment where they really love what they're doing. And I think their first thought is like, oh my God, I wish it was always like this. And then they realize, oh, the only reason it's not always like this is because I'm in a den of my own making.
Yeah, you're who you are and who you want to be. You're making choices that don't match that.
Yeah, for sure. And we talk a ton about core values and just how it's really hard to build confidence when you're out of alignment with your core values, because if you're not living in integrity with who you want to be, there's always going to be a disconnect with like how much you can trust yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's the roadmap. And don't you find once you have identified them and are living in alignment with them, it's much easier to say yes and no to things.
And you're truly a magnet for the opportunity. Like today is a perfect example. We spent the day doing content and creating a launch strategy, and I'm lit up by it. It was so much fun. You just become a magnet for the things that make sense for you. And you're able, like we all say, all entrepreneurs are like, I want more time freedom. I want to make a bigger impact. The first thing you need to do is get aligned with what you're doing. And those two things will follow.
So today, your life looks so different because you left industries that weren't lighting you up. And now you're serving in this capacity where you're supporting people who are building and scaling like sustainably and not burning themselves out, and helping them address what their confidence issues are and what their money stories are. So talk to me about the work that you're doing now and how that runs parallel to confidence work.
Oh, so money story and confidence are like parallels. And my favorite like breakthroughs in that work is seeing that aha moment and the shift, because once you're aware of something, you can't unknow it. Right. So that is probably my favorite part, but it's helping people see and like expand on their big dreams and their vision. Like I love helping a client even think bigger and then show them the blueprint and the path to get there and show them that it's possible. And I wouldn't be able to do that had I not gone through the journey that I've been through so far.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think so many of us struggle with this idea of showing the parts of our history that are not impressive because we don't want to look like we don't know what we're talking about, or we're a fraud, or like whatever. We just don't want to show our vulnerability. But I have said this before, and I maintain that your biggest impact will come from your willingness to share the parts of you that you're unafraid to show, that you're afraid to show. Like your willingness to show your crap to the world allows other people to feel connected to you and to trust you in a like true way, not in like a fabricated way. And it's really hard, I think, for people to do. I think especially for women.
Oh, I mean, I've been there. I've done it. I've tried to placate this perfect model, and I was the most unhappy, the most unfulfilled. I was drowning, and becoming authentic is your gateway to feeling good in your day to day.
Yeah. How long would you take? Because I always like to bring in some of the practical. How long would you say that it took you when you were in this cocoon season and when you were like doing the discovery and the self work?
I mean, a long time, years and years and years. I don't know. I would have to like really think about it to give you, but a decade, maybe more. And I think even still, I'm unraveling it even today. Like we're lying if you're like, I don't get nervous or I don't have imposter syndrome. Like when you're stretching yourself to go to that next level or to have that expansion, you're going to have insecurities. You're going to have that doubt creep up. But what happens is when you do the inner work to find the true confidence, now you have things to anchor to get you through it, to stop the spiral that's happening inside your mind and to push through it to get that expansion. So, I mean, years. Yeah. And I think it's ever evolving.
And there's no like one timeline, right? Because like what takes you maybe 3 years to unfold like one thing, because you keep coming back to the same core problem over and over again, might take another person 3 months because they're just like ready to make a change and face it, right? Like, I mean, hell, I've been in therapy for 4 years and I feel like I'm just now emerging.
Right. Well, I mean, and I think that's so important to highlight because, no matter what the timeline is, it's never a week, right?
No,
it's never, I went to a therapy session and here we are, right? Like, so I think it's just so important to just highlight the practical, like this takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of work to make seemingly incremental progress until you get somewhere, far enough down the line that you turn back and you're like, oh my gosh, I've come so far.
And then you have, and it's not like this.
Yeah.
Okay. It's truly like, woo.
Yep.
It's like the stock market. If you ever looked at a long graph of the stock market, it's the healing journey is like that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Love that.
So in the next episode, we're going to talk a lot more about the magic in the mess.
Yes, we are. And I cannot wait. So that is Whitney's being nice right now. That is the name of my podcast. And I cannot wait to pull back the curtains on the messy moments that the two of you have experienced so that we can connect and relate to it. And somebody can go, okay, I'm there, but I see a way out, because if they can do it, I can do it.
All right. So you'll have to check over to her podcast for episode 2.
Yes. We'll talk to you guys soon.